Hey everyone, Doa here. I was extremely sick last week, which almost caused me to miss my Gundam starter event. Thankfully, it didn't. Thankfully, I got to go and play. I went 2-1 with this deck right here. But before we dive into everything, what I wanted to do was just one more starter deck video because a lot of people asked me on the other videos which is the best starter deck. And so while I did talk about what each deck does well at the end of each of those videos, I wanted to sort of do a shorter one to bring all that together to give you sort of a quick kind of easy breakdown of what to expect from each starter deck and then kind of give you some info to help you choose which one you might want to play. So kind of combine that all in one place and then kind of tell you what I think is objectively the strongest of the starters and does that even matter? So without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. We're going to start off with Starter 01. Now, this one is blue and white. This is Heroic Beginnings. It is Witch from Mercury, which is at the time when this was released anyway, or when it was announced, that was the newest Gundam series. Obviously, Gundam G-Clux has come out since then. But when this was unveiled, it was meant to sort of be the beginning and the most recent of Gundam, Witch from Mercury and the original Mobile Suit Gundam. The colors are blue and white. And this, I would say, is the most balanced of all of the four starter decks in that there's a little bit of everything. It has the ability to fight on board. It has a little bit of healing. It has a little bit of resting your opponent's units. It has a little bit of minus attack power. It's got a little bit of damage on board. This deck really kind of has a little bit of everything. So in my opinion, if you want the deck that gives you sort of the broadest general sense of the gameplay of the Gundam card game, this is the deck for you. It really is just a good classic card game deck. This is my favorite of the four starters, but let's look at it just a little bit closer. Some of the marquee cards here is we've got this Gundam Legend Rare, the RX-78. This will buff all of your other units. So again, we've got a little bit of aura buffing here. Not aura farming, aura buffing. Got to make that distinction these days, right? And then we've also got the other Legend Rare, the Gundam Aerial Permit Score 6, which, when paired, it gives an enemy AP -3. I don't find this to be as exciting as a lot of the other Legend Rares. But again, this is, I would say this is probably the least exciting of the starters as well, but it is just generally good. We've got some things like 1/1 blockers to throw in front of your opponent, like the Demi Trainer. We've got things like the Gun Tank to do a little bit of damage. We've got really good pilot cards and things like the Amuro Ray, where, you're able to rest an enemy unit with 5 or less HP. That kind of turns pretty much anything in the game, in the starter environment at least, sideways, so that can be very useful too. Soletta Mercury is nice because you can get an active resource when you're using her. So there's just a lot of generally good stuff. It's got white base, which I love because it lets you play token units. So it's just a really good, I think, card game fundamentals deck. So if you just have no idea which deck to choose and you have no allegiance to any franchise in particular, if you're kind of coming into it fresh, I think this is the best deck for you. That said, I also think it provides a lot of interesting trick opportunities for experienced card game players. Like I said, I really enjoy this one a lot, but I think it's just a good general starting point for anyone looking at the Gundam card game and just anyone kind of wanting to get into card games in general. And then from a lore standpoint, that we have the old and the new is really cool. So great starter deck. I really love all four of these, but I think this is just kind of generically my favorite. All right, let's move on to starter number 2, which is Wings of Advance. So if you're a fan of the Gundam Wing franchise, this is the deck for you because it is all Gundam Wing. It has the green side, which is the Wing Bros, right, the boy band, and then it's got the blue side, which is the Oz side, which is the antagonist side from the show. So Zex Marquis, the Tall Geese, and all that. This is the deck for you if you like to fight on the board. If you like your units attacking your opponent's units, and you want to win the game by beating down your opponent's side of the board until they have nothing left and you have a big army, and then you can swing in and go for the win. This is the deck for you. This is the fight on board deck, right? So stylistically, if you enjoy that kind of gameplay in TCGs, a little bit more tempo-y, having to make good attacking decisions into your opponent units, trying to make decisions to present them with the least good attacks back towards you. Is that grammatically correct? I have no idea. But again, this is just the fight on board deck, right? I think it is fairly strong. I think, one of the strengths with green is breach, and this doesn't have quite as much breach as I kind of wish it did. I think that is, in my opinion, probably the most fun part about green is the breach mechanic, which is where when your unit destroys an enemy unit, you deal the breach damage. So this can be anywhere from like 1 to 5 is what I've seen, to their shield area. So you kill their unit and you hit their base, right? I wish there was a little bit more of that in this deck, because I feel like this deck is fun for people that like Gundam Wing, but it doesn't necessarily show off what this color can really do in the game as well as I think it could. You've got Tallgeese in there, which is a really cool unit. If you like a unit that you can attack, and then you pay some and then you ready it again and get to attack again, that's fun. But again, this is the fight on board deck. You're generally meant to take out your opponent's units in smart attacking decisions, and then leave yourself with a bigger board than they have to then swing in and win it in the end. I tend to feel like this is maybe the weakest of the 4 decks in objective sense. And I do want to stress that all these decks still play fairly closely. There isn't, in my mind, a giant gap in power between the strongest and the weakest deck. But this is the one that I think requires the highest burden of good decision making without enough of the big power card payoffs. And I think the reason for that is that it happens to have one of the most powerful cards in the starter environment in it. So I think they had to kind of lower the strength of the rest of it across the board to make up for this, because Wing Gundam is amazing. You can attack an active enemy unit, which is a big deal. Normally you can only attack rested enemy units. Level 4 or below lets you hit a lot of things. And then if you play Hero Yui on it, if you play the pilot Hero Yui on it, then you end up with a 7/7 that can attack the turn it comes into play. Because see, he gives it +2/+1, but he'll actually give it +3/+2 because of the link unit thing. So you've got that really, really strong combo. You've got some decent command cards. Resting an enemy unit, that's a characteristic of blue. So you've got a little bit of that in here too. But just in general, again, I personally feel like it is objectively the weakest of the 4 decks. But don't let that scare you off from it if you like Gundam Wing and if you like fighting on board in card games, because I think you can find a lot of success, from both of those things. So, again, I think it's a fine deck. It's probably my least favorite, which is funny because in a constructed environment, I really love the Wing stuff, but I just don't feel like this has enough of what makes green good in the game in the starter. But either way, I think it's fine. But again, probably the weakest of the 4. Let's move on to starter deck number 3, Zeons Rush. Now, in my other videos, this was by far the most popular one. Everybody loves Zeon, right? Everybody loves Char. Everybody loves the Shinanzu. Everybody loves to giggle about Full Frontal's name. I know I do. Hee hee. But this is the aggro deck. I think that's another reason why this one was so popular, is because this is the most approachable way to get into, I think, any card game, is to just play aggro. You're playing your stuff on the board and you're attacking your opponent with it, and you're not as concerned about their stuff. You are the beatdown. You are the one that they need to respond to, and that's a powerful feeling, right? That's a good feeling in card games. So this deck has a lot of that stuff, right? You've got some very strong high-end stuff in cards like the Shinanju that are able to, excuse me, still have a little bit of a cough from that cold, deal damage to things on board, which is good. You've got big numbers as well. And you've got, something that's a little bit more rare in the starter environment, which is the ability to do a little bit of searching, do a little bit of card draw. And you have an early legendary to play too in Char Zaku too. So I think this is a good deck in terms of vibes, right? Where you feel like you're playing powerful stuff the entire game through. You've got, I think, what's arguably the strongest 1-drop in the game in the Zaku 2, because it gets +2 attack when it's attacking. So it becomes a 3/2 for 1, which is really, really strong. So, again, if you like aggro stuff, this is the deck for you. If you are playing in a pool of inexperienced players, I think this is the deck that is the easiest to find success with, because it's the hardest to handle if you're a new player. So if you've still got a starter event out there and you're looking to sort of just kind of beat people down, this is the deck to go with. I really love cards like Falmel that give you base and give you another unit on board. Like I said, this is the go wide, hit your opponent's base area, make them respond to you, right? You've got the Char pilot card, right, which gives you high maneuver on attack, which is really cool because again, it doesn't require a link unit. Oh no, it does require a link unit. My bad. So if you get them on the Char Zakuto, you get high maneuver, so you get to avoid blockers too. And this is one of the only cases of high maneuver in the starter environment, maybe the only one. So if you don't like getting slowed down by blockers too, you've got Char as well. So I would say this, in my opinion, is maybe I would say it's tied for the second strongest of the starters. I think this one and STO1, honestly, can both do very, very well. As far as their ceiling goes, I think this might be slightly stronger, but it's STO1 in the hands of a good player can do really well too. But yeah, if you like aggro, this is the deck for you. Hands down, you're going to have a ton of fun with it. And if you like Zeon as well, this is it's a very thematic deck. It feels very Zeon to be like rushing and fighting and attacking your opponent and making them defend themselves. That's very Zeon, right? So I do think they captured the Zeon vibes and the Neo Zeon vibes, sleeves vibes really, really well in this deck. So I like it. It's my second favorite deck to play. And I would say it's probably the second strongest deck overall, which leads us to our final starter deck, and the deck that I actually feel is legitimately the strongest of the 4 starters. Not by much. Again, I will say again that I think all 4 starters are pretty balanced in terms of overall strength. That said, this list, which is what you would classify as the control list, I think is the strongest in the starter environment. You've got, a good amount of very strong blockers in things like the Mobius, right, which is just a 1/1 chump blocker, which is great. You've got the Ale Strike Gundam, which is nice because you not only present a 4/4 blocker, which is large, but you also return a unit to their hand, which makes them, kind of pay again to play it, right? And potentially just reduces the attacks coming into your side of the board by 1 in their next turn, which is a legitimately strong thing in this game. So you get really, really good legend rares. The other legend rare we'll take a look at here is the Aegis Gundam. See, I'm pronouncing it Aegis. You were right. It's not Aegis, it's Aegis, right? And you get a little bit of damage dealing. So this is the other half of the control side, right? You have some good blocking stuff, but then you have some good direct damage stuff. And the combination of those two things really makes this a great deck as far as surprising your opponent a lot of times, taking advantage of tiny mistakes they make. Kira Yamato is a pretty good pilot in terms of getting to give something -2 AP. That really lets you attack into a unit and then still have that blocker left to use on their turn, So a lot of times you can force 2-for-1s in this, which is really good, meaning they have to use 2 mobile suits, 2 units into your 1 unit. And you've got things like the Archangel as well, which is a very strong base. I mean, getting to attack with the unit that is blocker and then restand it so that it's ready to block on your opponent's turn, that's great, So just a lot of really strong cards. I would also say, we got to talk about Striker Pack too. Yeah, I mean, just being able to play a blocker, from burst is really, really good. Excuse me. And then using it in the main phase too, and getting to choose a 4/2 or a 2/4, that's just a really strong choice. So this deck requires a good burden of decision making. I will say I think it's the most difficult of the 4 starters to play well. That said, I think if you do play it well, you can beat any of the other starters, right? In a way that some of the other starters can struggle a little bit. So, yeah, while I'll say it one more time, I don't think there is a massive power difference between any of the 4 starters. I will say that I do think Seed Strike is objectively the strongest of the 4 starter decks. So if you're purely looking for power and you don't mind taking some time to learn to play the deck well, I think this is the one to go with. It's also got just 2 really great legend rares. I think this has a lot of good cards that are going to transition well into the full set 1 environment when we get access to all those other cards. And yeah, there you go. That's my opinions on it. I think starter 4 is the strongest. I think right underneath that, you've got starter 3, Zeons Rush, and starter 1, Heroic Beginnings. I think those are very similar. Maybe the Rush one, by virtue of it being aggro, is slightly stronger. And then down at the bottom, you have Wings of Advance. But, again, not at the bottom in a enough of a way that you would be scared off of playing it if you like Gundam Wing stuff, right? So Anyway, wanted to do a quick summary on those 4 decks. Hopefully that helps you make your choice when you choose which starter deck to start off with. Just looking ahead a little bit here, we're going to be doing some Gundam Assemble stuff. I do have all those starters. I'm going to be building those models on a video soon. And I wanted to know, too, do you want me to do a video of just the basic rules of the game? Would that be helpful? Let me know in the comments below. Also, thank you so much for all of you out there for subscribing. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing to help support the channel. It does make a big difference and helps me make more of these videos and get, boxes to open later. We're going to be doing that. That's going to be fun. But yeah, that's about all for now. Let me know if you agree with my analysis on the 4 starters. If you don't, definitely let me know rather. But I think these are a ton of fun. I had a great time at my starter event. Hopefully you have had a good time too. I went over to Eggman's house yesterday and played some games with a little bit of proxy stuff. And so I'm going to put a couple of those up on the channel as well. I'm testing out a green-red breach and direct damage deck that I think it's got some potential. So I wanted to show off a couple of games of that to, kind of talk about what are some of the concepts we can look at as we look into the full set. But yeah, thanks again for watching, everybody. And we'll catch you next time.